Okay, so 4.2 is writing equations in point-slope form. And point-slope form is just another form that you can write equations in. We've already talked about slope-intercept form. So we had y equals mx plus b. That's slope-intercept form. And now section 2 is just going to be about another form. So you've gotten used to y equals mx plus b, and now we're going to give you another one. So point slope form is right here, and it's y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. And again, it looks really confusing, but notice the m is still going to be your slope. And then what the y1, x1 is just the point. So it's the point that you're given, the ordered pair, and that could be anything. So a lot of things will work for the xy, or the x1 and the y1. Now, what doesn't change is this y and this x. Just like in this y equals mx plus b, we still had an x and we still had a y. So this y and this x will remain there. And all of this, the y1, the m, and the x1, will all be numbers that you will fill in. So here's an example of what you're going to have to do. It says, write an equation of the line in point-slope form given the point, negative 8.3, and the slope of 1/4. So notice what it gives you. It gives you a point, and it gives you a slope. So anytime that it gives you those two things, it makes perfect sense to put it into point-slope form, because again, you're just going to plop the numbers into the appropriate spots. So the first thing that I do is I kind of pull the numbers out and I label them appropriately. So the slope is going to be 1/4, and then the point that they give me is negative 8.3, and I go ahead and label that that's going to be my x and this is going to be my y. And more specifically, it's the little x1, y1. We're not ever going to take out the regular x and the regular y. It's going to be this x1, y1 that we fill in. So we literally take our equation up here and we bring everything down, y minus, but now the y1 is going to go in there. So I'm going to write a 3 equals, and then the m is 1/4. So you put in the 1/4 for the slope, the x stays, and then minus, and the x1 is a negative 8. So this is your equation in point-slope form. I would do a bit of simplifying, and I would simplify this into plus positive, which really we could just rewrite as x plus 8. But this is literally all you do, is you take the information given and you put it into the correct spots. So example 2. Same thing, write an equation of the line in point-slope form, given the point is 3, negative 1, so I'm going to go ahead and write that down, and the slope is negative 2, so m equals negative 2. Again, I'm going to go ahead and label this. This is my x1 and this is my y1, and then all I have to do is plug it into my formula. So y minus the y1 is right here, so negative 1 equals your slope, my m right here, m is negative 2, and then x minus, and then you go plug in your x1, 3. And notice, because it's minus, kind of like what we talked about at the end of last chapter, because it's minus, it has to like stay minus. I mean, this does not mean like a negative 3, it's just a 3. So then back here, when I would simplify this, y plus 1, because minus negative plus positive, equals negative 2 x minus 3 would be your final answer. Okay, so the next part, you get to switch between forms, and the question says, write the equation in slope-intercept form given 2 points. And you might be confused, like, hey, wait, I thought we were doing point-slope form. Why are we switching back to slope-intercept form? Well, these forms are interchangeable, and you have to know when it's appropriate to use one and when it's appropriate to use another. So I would write down these 4 steps in your notes so that you do have those, because it is kind of a long process of what you have to do, but this will at least lead you to the answer every single time. So you're going to find the slope by just subtracting the y's, subtracting the x's, make sure it's simplified. Step 2, you're going to put that in for the m and the point slope. So notice we're going to start out in point slope, and then eventually we're going to switch to slope intercept, which is what they wanted in step 4. And then for 3, you can use either point that you want to. Notice, because it says they're going to give you 2 of them, so you can pick either one you want. It doesn't matter. And then in the end, we're going to end up solving for y. So write those down, and then I'll solve an example on the next page. Alright, so example is write an equation in slope-intercept form given 7, 2 and 12, 2. So, wait, hold on. Pause, redo. Okay, sorry, had a little typo there. So again, 7, 2 and 2, 12. So again, the first thing we're going to do, step 1, is find the slope. So y minus y, 12 minus 2, and then x minus x, 2 minus 7. So we have 12 minus 2 is 10, and 2 minus 7 is negative 5, so my slope is going to be negative 2. So there is step 1. Step 2 is to actually put this into point slope form. So remember, point slope, y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. So far I can put this negative 2 in for m. So y minus, I'm just going to leave a spot, and then negative 2 x minus, and I'm going to leave a spot. So I have a little fill in the blank here. So now, this x1, y1, you can pick either ordered pair you want to. It does not matter. You can use either one and it'll still work both ways. So I'm going to pick 7, 2. So don't forget, the 7, 2 is your x and your y. More specifically, x1, y1. So for the y1, we're going to put in a 2 over here because it tells me that. And for the x1, I'm going to put in a 7. Now, step 4 says that we're going to take this, and now it says we're going to solve for y. So you notice that we've got a y over here. It's got a minus 2. We are going to want to bring that over. But even before I do that, I'm going to look to this side over here and see that I have distributive property. And anytime we have distributive property, we have to do it first. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Negative 2 to the x is negative 2x, and negative 2 times negative 7 is a positive 14, and then I'm going to bring this part down. So I'm getting closer to solving for y. My y is almost alone. All I have to do is add 2 and add 2. So now that's gone, and what you are left with, magically, is slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. So you went from point slope form because they gave you some points, and we ended in slope intercept form. Okay, so here's another one, and again we're going to follow these steps, so I'll show you again. So now this time it's written in function form, but don't let that confuse you. Your ordered pairs are just pull it out of the function, and then 1, 1. So again, step 1, we need to find our slope. So subtract your y's, negative 2 minus 1, and then subtract your x's, 2 minus 1. So I got my slope. I can go ahead and fill in y minus, I'll just leave a blank. My slope is negative 3, x minus, and I'll leave a blank. So again, you could pick either point you want to. 2, negative 2, or 1, 1. I'm always going to choose the one that doesn't have negatives. So I'm going to go plop in my 1 and my 1. That one's easy. That's the x, that's the y, but they're the same, so it doesn't matter. And then now we're on to step 4. We're going to solve for y. So remember to distribute over here first. Get rid of this, negative